did you ever think you'd live to see it? The day that Disney decided to turn their back on DEI. I didn't think it was possible. I thought the whole company was going to get sold off to Saudi Arabia. But wouldn't you know, the internet's having a blast with this. And we've got cool guy Matt Wallace here. This is at Matt Wallace 888 posting this AI video here of the Disney princesses registering their complaints with the courts over what happened to their stories. So let's take a look. I'm going to back the volume down a little bit here, guys, just because I don't want to blow out your eardrums.
Used to say my skin was white as the snow, but now somehow they needed to replace me for this Latina chick with bottom jaw issues and still use my name on the beach.
I not only represent the mermaid community, but the ginger ones. Why we are all being replaced? Why me? I'm here to protest in advance of the rumors of a new live action based on me. Don't you dare swap me as well.
It's pretty good, I think. Of course, Ariel, for whatever reason, sounds like Starfire, but, whatever. She comes from under the ocean. Maybe she doesn't know how English sentences work, but whatever. Here's more of Disney's mistakes this past year. One Piece and Dragon Ball series director says Western audiences love anime because they're tired of Disney-style predictable harmony in animation. I don't know about predictable harmony. I think they're tired of the agenda-driven BS that they have been force-fed, right? We've all been force-fed this nonsense for almost a decade now. And in the last 5 years, Disney has really knuckled down on it. So much so that they killed a really cool script that, according to Adam Driver, was the coolest effing scripts he had ever been a part of. All right, one of them anyway. And so, again, Kylo Ren doesn't strike me as a character that can have a cool story simply because the nature of the character is just so ridiculous and stilted and forced. Ben Solo, however, could probably have a pretty cool story. We would hope anyway, that Ben Solo would be able to have a cool story, independent of what happened with Kylo Ren and all that weird crawling in my skin, Linkin Park music video stuff that, J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson invented there. But here's the main story, and it comes to us from Geeks and Gamers. That's right. Feel free to check them out. The link is down in the description if you want to check out this article for yourself or share it around. This is written by Alex Gurzo. Disney drops DEI and related terms from its most recent SEC report. That's the Security and Exchange Commissions, if you don't know. It's not secret, right? It's not secret. Anyway, Disney is giving the impression of turning over a new leaf. As for the first time in 5 years, it has left the terms DEI and diversity out of its annual business report for the SEC. According to Fox Business, the report, which followed Disney's fourth quarter meeting, was filed on Thursday morning, and it did not include DEI. The full title of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or the individual words diversity, inclusion, or inclusion. The word equity does, however, appear in the report 130 times, but by Fox's count, this is only coming up in relationship to the financial conversation, not to the social program conversation. It says, not the B, Disney removes diversity and other terms from the business report for the first time in 5 or 6 years. Take your pick. But there you go. I'm not quite sure who this fella is, but hopefully we'll find out someday.
It doesn't matter if the subscriber count never changes. What matters is if we let the subscriber count change us. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You don't just climb up in front of a microphone and start spouting off your opinions because you're a YouTuber. You do it because you're driven.
The reason this is such a big deal is that last year's SEC report had an entire section devoted to DEI, expounding on Disney's DEI objectives, which were to build and sustain teams that reflect the life experiences of our audiences. It would accomplish this by employing and supporting a diverse array of voices across all sectors of the company. Going from having an entire section about DEI to not mentioning it or anything related to it is quite a sea change in just 1 year. As Fox points out, this shift in focus is so significant because it follows the removal of 2 DEI programs from the 2024 report, Reimagine Tomorrow and The Disney Look, Reimagine Tomorrow was about amplifying underrepresented voices and listed some of Disney's DE&I commitments and action. It also promised that half of Disney's characters would come from underrepresented groups. The Disney Look was a series of appearance guidelines that was updated to cultivate a more inclusive environment by encouraging authentic expressions of belonging. Of course, you have Wall Street Mav here posting the mustachioed fairy godmother that will take your child in for a makeover in which their clothing is changed and they are, made up to look like a princess while they're at the Disney park. Now, of course, children are not sure how to take this, as this is quite obviously a dude. This is not a lady with a mustache pointed on. That is a dude in a dress pretending to be a fairy godmother that takes your daughter into a space that you yourself are not exactly allowed to tromp in on. You're possibly allowed to witness this stuff, but I would guarantee you that they want to surprise you with what your princess looks like. And here's the mustachioed fairy godmother princess saying hello to everybody. And I can't watch it. We're just going to move on. One has to wonder if this is a real shift in policy or a show to make Disney look like it's abandoning its socio-political practices. Earlier this year, Disney shareholders rejected a proposal to reconsider participating in the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equity Index. The Human Rights Campaign is an advocacy group for sexual minority rights. That doesn't sound like a company that's shifting gears completely. And the removal of Reimagine Tomorrow and the Disney Look is believed to be a result of videos in which high-ranking Disney employees talk about inserting their agendas into Disney productions. Well, what a surprise. And of course, we have this information here. You remember this lady, she went on and on about how she was running the Proud Family cartoon revival, and she was sticking the queerness wherever she could stuff it. That's right. And of course, we don't need to go back through that again. That's another thing that just gives you the shivers, but it seems to be that Disney's trying to draw back from at least being so publicly proud about that. Still, there have been other signs that Disney may be shifting away from DEI. In October, Disney hosted something called Global Belonging Week. While it mentioned belonging and inclusion, it did not use the terms DEI, diversity, or equity. However, this raises the question of why Disney would have a Global Belonging Week if it wanted to step away from DEI. This is another instance of Disney making a show of doing something it's not actually doing. Elsewhere in the company, the Pixar movie Elio removed some controversial elements before its release, although this seems to have been Pixar's decision more than Disney's. And a similar subplot was also dropped from Disney's Pixar series Win or Lose. Again, a Pixar product, although Disney released a statement about it to The Hollywood Reporter suggesting that the particular decision came from Disney's higher-ups. Now, apparently Elio was supposed to tell the story about a boy who was queer-leaning. I believe he was queer-leaning. I don't believe he was out-and-out gay. And of course, there are no gay 8-year-olds. Okay, if you have an 8-year-old who is experiencing a bodily attraction to anything, okay, you probably need to talk to them. They're having some very early ideas about the world that the body and the psychoapparatus of the brain is not quite developed enough to handle. And telling a story about a little boy discovering his sexual orientation, not a good idea. Not a good idea on any front whatsoever. Okay? There should be no, you have to remember, the difference between heterosexual and homosexual is the sexual part. Nobody bleeds purple because they're gay. All right? They don't have wings. All right? They don't shoot lasers out of their eyes. They're human like the rest of us. So the only difference is the sexual part. That's right. And that should have nothing to do with children's entertainment. Is Disney really moving away from DEI practices and programs? It's hard to say, but given its track record in recent years, people probably won't be convinced until they see evidence in the company's output. So, as the article suggests, please share this out. The link is down below. Geeks and Gamers, of course, Alex Gurzo provided this story to us, but I did want to go on and show you some more memes. This also comes with more news. Remember a few months ago, Disney came out and explained, oh, by the way, we've lost all the boys. We don't have any Gen Z or Alpha kids running around here that are dudes. We got to go get them. It says Disney is reportedly desperate to get male audiences back after years of pushing them away. Wow, what a surprise. Turning everything that was considered a masculine property on its head in order to teach the chuds a lesson backfired? Oh no! Who could have seen that coming? Oh no, how terrible. Oh no. And then, of course, Disney is set to hire a white actress to star in its latest reboot after dumping DEI amid the woke fury. Came back from October 11th of this year, where Disney, I don't think they came out and admitted that they were like, well, we're going to cast a white girl for this one because you guys are really bad about Rachel Zegler. No, I don't think that that's what they came out and said. I didn't hear that, so I don't believe that that's what they came out and said. But of course, this is an admission that randomly swapping out the princesses isn't working. Because wouldn't you know, people are attracted and interested in the character that they know, not the one that they don't. This is another example of how these new wokey dokes don't know how to tell a story about the people they truly care about. So what they do is they take a story from the Netherlands, from the Dutch, The Little Mermaid, and they say, oh, this is about a black girl now. As if that's okay. As if that didn't just invalidate any black character you could have created. They have no faith in a black story. They have no faith in their own stories that verify their own existence. So they have to take over another story and warp it into their agenda in order to validate their existence through it. And this is what's most insulting. You saw that with April from TMNT, from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The whole reason why they changed her is they were like, oh, there's not enough diversity in the Turtles. And at one point, she was a different race. I'm sorry, most people popularly know April O'Neil to be a white woman with red hair, a yellow jumpsuit, and a banging rack. Okay? That's what they know her as. When you go flipping that on its head and turning her into a potato-shaped black lady, people tend not to respond well to that. Least of all, the black community who's like, that's what you think of us? A potato? Come on. At least create a new character. They had every opportunity to create a new companion who could have been black, who could have come from the city, who could have just met the turtles randomly. Didn't have to be a reporter. Could have been just some random girl who's drawing pictures and was like, whoa, you guys are turtles? No way. And they all become friends with her. Very simple, guys, but for whatever reason, we got to turn everything on its head in order to make sure that whatever you grew up with now makes you feel like a racist for enjoying it. But you'll have to let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. And as always, guys, good luck out there.